Hi, welcome. So, where are you going? What's your dream vacation? What places in the world do you want to visit? Who do you want to be when you grow up? What's your profession that you've always wanted to be since you were a kid? Are you working in something that you had no plans to be in? Well, what if I told you that there are shortcuts to getting there and you can start being that professional, you can start being that adult that you always wanted to be. Starting today, you can start receiving those things that you wish for, that car, the vacation, the house. Yes, you can ask for material things too, the titles. You can have all that, and we can go over what's holding us back from being and having those things. We need to find out what's holding us back. That way we can get rid of those obstacles. And we can also, start enjoying being that person. We don't have to wait to retirement. You don't have to be wealthy to have the objects that you want. You don't have to wait until you deserve it or until you earned it. You don't have to wait for all of that. We can start having it and being that person as of today. So there are some things that we have to put out on the table. What's holding us back? What are the excuses? Who are we going to blame? What are those obstacles? And then how we are going to overcome it. And another thing we need to do is clarity. Do you even know what you want? Do you even know what you want to be? And why? Why do you want that? And say, I want to be a lawyer. Why do you want to be a lawyer? I want to have this house here. Why do you want that? So you got to be very specific. And you have to know why. Otherwise, how are you going to get what you want if you don't even know what you want? And so what is the system? What's the system is we need to have clarity to the last detail of what we want, where we want to go, when we want to go. You don't have to worry too much about the how, because the how is going to come from your brain and it's going to come from God. You just got to learn to listen to Him. And I have a video on that, on how to communicate with God. So all you got to worry about is knowing what you want and receiving it. You got to be open to receive it, because if you don't know how to receive, then you're not going to get it, all right? So, what are the obstacles? The first obstacle is all those discouraging comments, the critics, we call them the naysayers, the pessimists. We can blame all those people, but it's also our lack of focus and our lack of clarity. So we'll give you some examples of those discouraging comments. I'm sure you can all relate. So growing up as a teenager, I remember telling my mom, I want to be a fashion designer because she was a dressmaker. But I wanted to be in the Vogue magazine. I wanted to be famous like that. And what she told me was, no, fashion designing is for wealthy people or for famous people that are born into it. That's not possible. And so that was a very discouraging moment for me. But regardless, I know I still did it and I enjoyed it. I didn't become famous because I had those limits in my head. So those are the discouraging comments. Or another discouraging comment was once I said, I want to be a lawyer because my brother was a lawyer. And so that influenced me. And the comments was, you're not smart enough. Haven't you seen your grades? That takes a lot of effort. And so that's another discouraging comment. So I just put it to the side. And that's how it goes. And I have this habit that when I come up with an idea, I share it with somebody and they'll say, oh, that's so many people are already doing that already. When I did my skincare product, everybody would just say, oh, that's gonna be so hard because there's so many people doing skincare already. Those are all the discouraging comments that will like put us down, and then they take away our energy, our enthusiasm, and we cannot allow that anymore. We gotta put a stop to it. Another thing is the lack of focus. So we get sidetracked and we put everything else above our goal. Like, I've always wanted to go to Europe since high school. My dream was to go to Paris because I was taking French lessons, and I wanted to see the fashion because that's where fashion started, and I wanted to go to Italy because I just was fascinated with the people and the food. But things happen in life, you know, you end up being poor, you gotta finish school, you meet somebody, get married, have kids, have a house, and the list goes on and on. And then I would like have the plans because it never left my head, because I actually have a list of everything that I want to do. However, I started doing that list only like 6 years ago. I wish I'd done it sooner. So I have this list of at least 100 things that I want to do and that I want to have. And Europe was on there. And so that's what happens. That's an obstacle. We don't have a list and we forget. We forget what we want. It's like we've wanted it forever, but then we just forget about it and put it away in a drawer where nobody, not even we, remember we have it. So that's the thing. We have to remember. There's no focus on it. And then before you know it, 6 years passed and you never got to it. Another thing is there's no clarity. A lot of people don't even know where they want to go or when they want to go. They'll just say, oh, when I retire, I'm going to travel someday. Or the someday. What is that? Someday is, and it's not even, it's crazy. Someday may never come. So no, there is no clarity. They say that you want to travel, but you don't even know where. You say you want to be an artist, you don't even know what kind of an artist or what, anything. What are you going to do with your art? What kind of art? And so that's the problem. We let ourselves down with those discouraging comments. We have lack of focus. We just put our dreams in the drawer and we do everything else besides work on our priorities, which should be our life, our dreams, our ambitions. But no, we give other things priority and there's no clarity. We don't even know what we want. We kind of know what we want. Like I have this story of that I heard, it was from the mentor of Jim Rohn. And so he put an example of this man. He was asked, what do you want? Say one thing that you want right now. And the man says, I want a Cadillac. And the guy says, well, I have a Cadillac. I've been trying to get rid of. You can have my Cadillac. And the man goes and looks at it. It was a rusty, old, worn out Cadillac, like the color of rust. And the man says, I don't want that Cadillac. That's ugly, it's old, it probably doesn't even work, it looks super run down. And the guy that was offering the Cadillac's like, you say you wanted a Cadillac. So there it is. I was like, but I don't want that one. I want mine to be brand new. I want it to be in the silver. And so then the guy started getting specific. So you see, that's how you have to be specific. Another thing that we have to do, that I started to do, once that I decided that it was time to go to Europe, it was just to imagine myself there. So every time I would go out to eat, I request to be sitting outside at al fresco, and then I would be enjoying my food, and then I imagine myself eating outside on the sidewalks in Europe. And so that's how I would imagine myself in Europe. And then I had my list of my desires and wishes, and I read it every day, and Europe was on the list. And so sometimes like I'd be working and I'd be tired or frustrated, just tired, because at the moment, at that time, before going to Europe, I was selling my house and I had to get my house ready for sale. And so I'd be working out in the yard and I'd be thinking, once I sell this house, I'm gonna go to Europe. And so that was kind of like my motivation, and every day I thought about it. And so every time you make a sale, it's like, okay, or you make some money, it's like a portion of this goes to the Europe fund. And then you see it accumulating, because if you just save your money without a destination, if your money does not have a destination, life will find a destination for it. And that was one mistake I did, because I was saving up my money, just a regular savings account, but it had no destination. And it was called the emergency fund money. That's what it was, which is another thing I'm going to talk about in another video. And so, yeah, I had an emergency. The plumbing went bad in the house, and that stupid pipe ended up costing $9,000 and something. So there it was. That was my Europe money. But the problem was that I didn't put a name to that money. I should have. So there it is. You gotta be super clear of what you want. You guys, I want to travel, and I'm gonna go to these cities, and I'm gonna go through this travel company, and I'm gonna have this much money destined for that trip. And once I get to my trip, I'm gonna buy this, and I'm gonna buy that, and I'm gonna go here and there. I was specific to the last part of it, even to what shopping I was gonna do. And you gotta remember that you're doing this. And the same thing goes with imagine every day. If you want to go to the beach, you gotta imagine, even if you're miles away from the beach, at least take your towel, lay it out on your patio or your balcony, put it there. Imagine that you're laying on the sand, put on some background music with the waves crashing in the background. You hear the seagulls and you feel the warmth. What would you do once you're at the beach? That's what you do. And so you start doing the things that you want to do in the future. You start doing them now. So you lay it out on the patio, enjoy the sun, put on your suntan lotion, hear the waves, hear the seagulls, feel the breeze. And eventually, God and the universe will find a way for you to get there. And don't worry about how you're going to get there. Maybe some friend will invite you on their trip. Don't worry about it. You just be open to receive it. And as far as dreaming big and having that dream job, you can start that today. You don't have to wait to get hired by that company. You don't have to wait to finish your education or to get that degree or certificate. If I want to be a best-selling author, then I have to start acting like a best-selling author. And what would that person do? Well, we do research every day. We do investigations every day. We learn how to have interesting stories. We study, we read, we write. That's what a best-selling author does. And they do it every day. If you want to be a mother, learn how to be a mother before actually having kids. You can go volunteer at the orphanage. You can go work in the daycare. You can babysit your nieces and nephews. You can do all the things that a great mother would do. You can do it with other kids. And that way, by the time you have your kids, you'll be you'll have that experience and you know what you're getting into. Because what if you don't like it? It's better to find out sooner than once you have your kids. And it's the same thing with any profession. I wanted to be a teacher since I was little because that's just something that's ingrained in our head by our parents. Why not just be a teacher? Okay, so I went to go work as a teacher. It was torture. And so that's why I decided not to go study teaching. Yeah, so do it. Find a way to do it through volunteering, even pretending if that's necessary. If you want to have a really great relationship, you want to have a husband or wife, learn to be that person before you get married. Pretend that you're married, okay? Pretend that you have a romantic partner, he's your ideal partner. Are you gonna be walking around in dingy pajamas with hairy legs, hairy armpits? No, you would maintain your hygiene for that person because you want to be appealing to that person. So you got to start practicing all those good habits today, because you're not going to change into that person right away once you get married. No, and if you do try, it's going to be hard. So you got to start practicing today to be that loving wife or husband. If you want to be the ideal husband, you got to start practicing today. You got to have that job, that steady job or that business, bringing in the income, having that sense of responsibility. At least start being responsible for your pet. If you can't take care of your pet, how are you going to take care of real babies? And that's how you do it. You start exercising that profession. If you want to be a housewife, then start doing the chores. Start doing everything that person would do. And maybe that's not what you want, but you'll find out. And you don't have to wait to earn it either. You don't have to wait to earn a title. Because some people will tell you, you can't call yourself this or that if you're not there yet. Well, I think that's really bad advice. Like, say for example, a long time ago I wanted to be a vegan. And I was telling everybody that, hey, I want to be vegan, I'm a vegan, because I wanted their encouragement, I wanted their support. But this one person told me, you can't be calling yourself a vegan until you've actually done it for a while. And I was like, well, that's not very nice. Because I want to be vegan, I can be vegan right now. And if tomorrow I falter and eat a cheeseburger, it's not a big deal. I'll just start all over again. You don't have to wait to deserve it. I don't have to wait to sell 100,000 copies of my book to call myself an author. If I want to be an author today, I am an author today. And don't let anybody take away your title. Or I would even call it a crown. Put it on and wear it with pride. And be careful not to be delusional though. Like Jim